By the way, fifth graders, I live by a little phrase that's called the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Anybody?
That doesn't make sense at all.
This will make perfect sense to you. Here's the deal. How many of you have ever gotten in trouble for being very quiet all the time? Raise your hand. How many of you have gotten in trouble for being incredibly loud all the time?
I'm gonna get back in there.
Yeah, Jack. That's my little warning for you that you're being too loud. Because if you squeak, when you have a wagon, when you have a car, you go down the road and one of the tires makes noise, guess what? You take it to the shop and the shop guy has to fix it. It's a little like that with a fifth grader. I've got a whole bunch of fifth graders here. Most of them aren't being squeaky and making noise. I'm not going to have to fix them. But if you are, I'm going to have to fix you. So, I don't mind, every once in a while, but the constant after every remark jumping in with something. That's the problem sometimes, Ryan, we have to address, don't we? So, if I say squeaky wheel gets the grease, that is your warning that somebody's probably squeaking a little too much. I know we squeak, everybody squeaks once in a while, but you gotta, because if I have to spend my whole time addressing squeaky wheels, you can't get to inverse operations. And here's the deal, what is an inverse thing? Well, inverse means it undoes an operation. Inverse operations are ones that undo each other. In other words, you could think of it a lot like opposite. And the reason we talk about that is subtraction undoes, or undoes, that's hard to say. Subtraction, this might not give me any more things here, undoes what operation? Addition. It's like backwards. Just like division undoes multiplication. And the reason that's important is because we're going to talk today about what our, I'm sure you said, hey, I didn't catch all that. Well, subtraction undoes addition. You can think about it as being opposites. Okay, because today we're going to talk about, blank piece of paper, fact families. Have we talked fact families? We shall talk today. I see some of you relying heavily on the multiplication charts and blah, 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 blah. Well, you shouldn't have to do that so much if you realize that a lot of math facts fall into what we call fact family. Okay, they are numbers we group together because they stick out in our head. In other words, this. Let me just say, if I have the number 3 and the number 4, when I talk about facts, the basic addition, subtraction, multiplication things, like 8 times 8 is 64, when you see the numbers 3 and 4, what third number would you think would go next to that? What third number do you suppose you would put with that? And there's a couple different answers to this. Logan?
I was just going to say that I think my chair is a lot more squeakier than Alex.
Oh, good. I'm good with that. Landon?
7.
7. Why 7, Landon? Because
3 plus 4 equals 7.
exactly, and you should put those numbers together. That's a fact family. And with each fact family, I can come up with 4 different problems. Because once you know one problem, you know the rest. For example, you know that 3 plus 4 equals 7, but you also know that 4 plus 3 equals 7. Now the inverse operations for those would use the same digits, except it's not addition anymore. Now it is 7 minus 3 is 4, and 7 minus 4 is 3. That is one group of fact families that you can get with 3 and 4. Let's erase 7, and let me ask you, what other number could you actually put there? Grace?
12.
12. Where would you come up with 12? Because, exactly, Another one you could use is 3 and 4 and 12 because 3 times 4 is 12. That would give you 4 times 3 is 12. What would be the inverse of those? What's the opposite of multiplication? And I would get 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now there's another one. How about let's say it's not that anymore. What else could I use with those? What other number could you give me? There's one more there's a couple harder ones, but we'll only go with one more. Right?
1,
And what would you do with 1?
you'd add it to 3 to get 4.
Okay, 3 plus 1 is 4. What would be the other 3 facts that would go in this fact family? Who's got another one in there? Out?
1 plus 3 equals 4.
1 plus 3 is 4. And then we've got the inverse of those. Cabran?
4 minus 3 equals
4 minus 3 equals 1, and 4 minus 1 equals 3. Now, there are other ones, but they get a little complicated. Anybody think of another one? Well, let me give you a clue. We added these 2 things, we subtracted these 2 things, we multiplied these 2 things. We haven't divided those 2 things. Why? Because it doesn't work out nicely, does it? What does anybody know what 3 divided by 4 is? Anybody at that level? You got 3 cookies. You get 3 cookies, and you have to split it up among 4 people. How much is everybody going to get?
2 and 1 half, or
2 and 1
1
fourth. No, 2 and 1/3.
1
Now,
1 and 1/3.
when I get to these problems here, kids, I always try to draw myself a picture. Now, what did I say? You got 3 cookies, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, if you don't understand this is one of those things where we take a little aside. Don't even write this down because it's not about. This is just me going off on my own to get you to try to think a little bit here. Got 3 cookies. I am going to split that up between Brooke, Cabran, Landon, and Madison. Okay, how am I going to do it? First of all, they're all not going to get 1. So anybody out there that said 3 divided by 4 is going to be 1 in something, no, there's not even 4 cookies. The only way to get 1 would be to have 4 cookies. So here is what the smart person, thinking person would do. Well, let's do it like this. Let's take each cookie and cut it into 4 pieces and give each one of them. So we got Brooke, we got Landon, we got Cabran, and we got Madison. And let's do the same thing with the next cookie. Cut it into 4 pieces, give them all 1/4. And let's take the third cookie and do the same thing. Brooke, Landon, Cabran, Madison. So if I did that to all 3 and I gave them each their part, how much of a cookie is Brooke going to end up with? No? 3/4. So that's what 3 cookies divided 4 ways is going to give you 3/4 of a cookie. Not even a whole one because I don't have enough. Now let me tell you, now that you know this, you should be able to give me 3 other facts because this is a fact family. What would be the other? This is going to be tough. If you don't get this, it's fine. But if you're thinking a little bit, think about when we did this. Where was our division one? When we did this, we divided this and got this. What other things? We should be able to get 2 other multiplication ones and 1 other division one from this one fact family there. It's not going to be easy. Maybe the multiplication one might be easier. Sammy B says
4 divided by 3 equals
Now, yeah, but 1 isn't. We have to use these exact 3 things. You can't put a 1 in there anywhere because none of our other fact family. These are the only 3 numbers you can use. So you can't do 4 divided by 3. You're going to have to do something around there. Let's see the deep thinking going on here. Ryan says
3/4 divided by 4 equals 3.
3/4 divided by 4 equals 3. Now, let me ask you a question on that. I think we're going a little crazy here. So what you're saying here is if I have 3/4 of a cookie. Let me erase some of it. Here's what you're telling me, sir. If I have 3/4 of a cookie, and I split that amongst these 4 people, they're each gonna get 3 cookies. So but you're close, but not quite there. So this isn't quite arranged in the right order. But somewhere there, it should be. Alex says
4 divided by 3 equals 3/4.
4 divided by 3, no, that can't be right, because I already have 3 divided by 4 is 3/4. I can't just flip those two around.
Oh.
That would work, because you can't get the same answer. Landon says. So wait, we decided this wasn't right, right?
Yes. 4 divided by 3/4 equals.
4 divided by 3/4 equals 3. Well, can I tell you 4 divided by 1 would equal 4. So 4 divided by 3/4, if I took a cookie and divided it up 4/3 way, that's actually not it either. I'm not even going to explain it. We got one more choice left. Sammy?
3/4 divided by 3 equals 4.
3/4 divided by 3 equals 4. That, I believe, actually is not right either. What are we missing?
We're missing one. It's a multiplication.
Well, we should be able to get some multiplication